Ducklings, welcome back everyone. Welcome to ESL ANZ Champs 2022 Season 2 Qualifier number 2. That's a lot of twos. Welcome everyone, welcome back, as we did of course have qualifier number 1 yesterday for ANZ Champs, and now we have the second one, the final one. The bracket is live, exclamation mark, be in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. We will have a gander over it when we have a little bit of free time, but we are here to find out which 2 final players will qualify for the main event. And spawning in the top right hand corner of data under the sea, we have the Australian Terran player himself, representing his old clan 1F Pro. It is aconcises. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner of data under the sea, we have the other Australian player, the Australian player that is competing for the first time in 7 years. He's very old school, representing himself, the pink Zerg. It is Alopex. Oh. Oh my god. So if you've been watching previous seasons of ANZ Champs, you should be relatively familiar with Acon. He has been a part of the main events before, the top 16 in Australia, and yeah, it's been a while since we've seen him. He usually only appears for either ANZ Champs or maybe even the DreamHack Oceania qualifiers, so it's always great to see him competing in these events. He was even here yesterday as well in qualifier number 1. Unfortunately, we weren't able to cast him, so now, bam, we get to get some Acon in our lives. This is where I sing a song and get copyright striked. But his opponent is a really interesting one. Alopex, aka Johnny. He is back after a long hiatus. He has been playing StarCraft, I believe, the past couple of months. He returned to the game, kind of like in a casual format, but then I want to say maybe 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago, he took things seriously. He got GM again. He hit or surpassed 5k. I'm not entirely sure what level he is at the moment, but he has been kind of, again, regaining his strengths from back when he used to compete on a more serious level. So I am personally really curious to see how he fares against the more established players here. You know, a player like Acon, who has proven himself in the past to be, you know, formidable in his own right. You know, players like Vivid, players like Rise, Starduck, Runamuck. How can Alopex compare? Can he stand up to, you know, the best that ANZ has to offer? We're here to find out. Oh god. As for the time being, we do see some pretty standard openers. Hatchgas Pool here from Alopex. He's not going to be losing any of his lings either. The Queen is going to be able to push this Reaper back. Meanwhile, the first Marine for Acon already dishing out a lot of DPS to this first Overlord, taking away around a quarter of its HP, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult for this Overlord to get a scout off. And I wonder what Acon is going to be hiding here as he opens up with a 1-1-1. No 3cc Banshee or anything like that, so a much more aggressive opener, less so economic, and we'll see where this all takes us, especially because we don't have a tech lab on this Rax. Right now the Marine is going to be again patrolling the edges of the base to make sure the Overlord doesn't slip on in, and I'm feeling a tech lab on this starport. I'm feeling a BC opener. Oh. But we shall see. Meanwhile, across the map again, we're just droning, getting our queen, spreading our creep, connecting to all of our bases. Interesting that Alopex decides to take the triangular third base here, and there it is. There is that fusion core. The reason for this is that typically if we have a Banshee, we do have a tech lab on the racks, and we see an add-on switch. When we go for a fusion, when we go for a BC, because we have to make the fusion core, it usually isn't efficient to go for the add-on swap. Instead, you can make a Viking first to clear out Overlords. You can go for your tech lab, and then it'll all be ready in time for the fusion core to finish and make that first BC. The other way to do it is to go Banshee first, to be fair, which some people do. Some people do. The first Viking does come out. It's going to be able to shut down this Overlord here outside of the natural. At the same time, a couple of Lings are going to try and slip into the main base. The Hellions are going to deny this. The Lings do get cleaned on up without getting the scout off. There is still this Overlord to go into the main base, but we have 2 Marines to try and stop it. And this is a bit of a scary, terrifying prospect here. Alopex has no idea what's going to be coming his way. The BC does now commence, and we should be getting some safety spores. he's aware of the 111. At least he sees the Hellions, so he knows that something like a Banshee or a BC is going to be a threat to him. He has already seen the Viking. The Viking does reveal itself once again, killing another Overlord. And there we go. A couple of spores are on the way. It looks like Alopex thinks it is a Viking Liberator opener, which is quite common. So he's getting his spores behind his main base here for a Liberator, not quite in position for a BC, and isn't getting spores anywhere else. Oh boy. There we go. A couple more spores being thrown down. So Alopex is playing this out very safe. There we go. Spore in his third and his natural. He's got a decent amount of queens. How many queens do we have in total? We have 7 and soon to be 8 queens. We have a decent amount of lings. I worry. Okay, there we go. 8 more lings are on the horizon. The worrisome thing is that if the BC comes in, if it drags away all the queens, then the Hellions going to wreak havoc in the middle line. And there we go. The Hellions do get in towards that third base. 5 drones already going down for 1 Hellion. Well worth it here for Acon. Meanwhile, the Viking is able to barely escape here, confirming the Queen's locations at the 4th base. And the BC has finished. It does teleport across back straight to the main. And this is what I was worried about. The Spore not quite in position. Well, 1 drone does go down. The Queens are going to be able to meet this, though. Again, the BC isn't going to get out of control. At the same time, Ling goes in for a scout, confirming that there is, in fact, a 3rd CC. It isn't a 2-base or anything, 2-base all-in or anything crazy like that. And the BC is going to be able to even pick off maybe some Overlords, maybe some more drones. No target firing here. The BC does automatically target that Spore instead. Oh, but there we go. 10 drones going down in total. Ling will eventually be cleaned up across the map. BC does get away with its life, and so far, not bad damage done. 5 kills by this BC and another 5 from those Hellions. Pretty decent, and now this does force Alopex to react, but again, he hasn't lost too many drones. He's got a 4th base that's soon going to be up and running. We got a Spire on the way. Like, he has handled this quite well. Meanwhile, what's important to take note of is that Acon, despite going for a BC opener, is not going for mech. We see 3 more Raxes being thrown down instead. And it's important that Alopex recognizes this. At the moment, he hasn't really seen much at all. He saw the Hellions earlier when he was poking the natural base. He doesn't quite know if it is going to be indeed mech or bio instead. He hasn't thrown down a Roach Warren though, so regardless, Ling Bane is going to be his tech of choice, and this should be fine against the bio. I just noticed the copy passes in the chat. You're all animals, Papi. You're all animals. Ay, ay, ay. Much better than living without Acon, especially when it gets hot. True. Oh, God. All right, well, regardless, we do see the creep being spread here. Again, Alopex really maintaining control of his side of the map. A lot of this is because Acon has been backing off with his Hellions. Despite opening up with them, he doesn't want to lose them needlessly. He hasn't been checking the creep. Instead, he is going to be going together with one major push. The armory is done, so he's going to be able to morph them into Hellbats. Banelings are being morphed in now as a response, but there aren't that many of them. 11 Banelings on the way, 3 already done. Ooh, Alopex going for a massive Ling run by instead. Honestly, a pretty risky move here. The Bailing speed has finished up, but the tanks are going to be sieging. Aye, the Lings, it looks like they're going to be able to catch some of these reinforcements here back at home. Marines are going to get surrounded. At the same time, the Bailings, they roll on board. They get on top of the tanks. They get on top of the Marines. Oh, is it going to be enough? A decent amount of Marines do actually survive. The BC is still wreaking havoc from the skies. The Queens are trying to transfuse, they're trying to keep each other alive, but Acon is rallying everything across the map. Meanwhile, back at home, it looks like, the Lings are getting economic damage done. Oh, nice micro there from Acon. He pulls back, reducing surface area, using those tanks. A couple more Lings reinforcements are coming in, and Alopex will barely hold. Meanwhile, across the map, I thought more SCVs were going to go down. A lot of them have been softened up. A lot of them are in the red, but only 5. Acon's economy hasn't been slowed down. At the same time, though, he wasn't able to break this hatchery. So close. A couple more tank volleys, and that would have been it for that hatchery. Acon is not stopping, though. Liberators are now showing their faces. No tanks here, but the Bailings, they just weren't ready. The Bailings morphing in a little bit too late. This 5th hatchery is going to go down, but Alopex can afford to lose a 5th. Or even is able to save those drones towards the end. Bailings roll on forward. Not the most efficient trades. Questionable move with those Bailings. We need them for these Marines as they sim on forward and they snipe the hatchery. 4th base finally does go down. Alopex in the blink of an eye losing 2 of his bases. He has kept his workers alive, so he at least doesn't have to waste any of his larvae on resaturating his minerals. but he has to expand. He has to even double expand. There we go. He's expanding towards the north, expanding towards the south. He needs one of these to get up and running. At the same time, he's going for another massive link run by, but the Marines are here. Ah! The reinforcements just happen to be here when they are needed most. Acon is pushing on forward even further here. This base is going to be going down. That is a kill, not a cancel. I was really hoping I wouldn't have to say that. As we do see Alopex going for a mass surround, but he just doesn't have enough lings. The Banelings, they get some decent connections. The first tank goes down, but we have another tank behind this. The reinforcements have made their way across the map. We are out of Banelings. At the same time, oh, where are those Banelings? Are across the map. Alopex going for a Baneling run by to shut down this third base. Bold move, puppy, bold move. Can he hold on though on the front lines? That is the question. The Marines pushing on forward once again. One tank has been left behind as well as the Liberator, so Acon forgetting some of his units that could honestly help him even win this fight. Alopex once again barely holding on. At the same time, the Banelings, they roll on in. Can they get the damage done? It looks like they will find their connections. 13 up. 15, 16. Other Banelings. Oh god. 18, 20 SCVs are going to go down at this third base. Acon pulling back a little bit too early here. He's going to clean this up, but oh, he is hurting bad. Even though Acon has been losing base after base after base, he kept his workers alive, and now that one hatchery has gotten up, he can immediately resaturate. At the same time, Lings are going to be hitting this fourth base. Acon, thankfully, he does have his army, though, in position. Oh, a lot of damage already being done to set forth. A lot of this being due to the fact that I'm a little bit surprised Acon's 2-2 was delayed quite heavily here. He still kept these 2 units back, by the way. But it was delayed quite heavily, so we have a massive period where Alopex is ahead in upgrades. He's got the 2-2 compared to the 1-1 of Acon. That's why his Ling Bane has been trading as efficiently as it has. If Acon hadn't forgotten those upgrades, then I do think we would be looking at a bit of a different game. Meanwhile, a bit of a drop does get denied. Alopex double expanding for the second time here. His economy is looking quite good, but Acon is going to do something about that. Ooh, 7 drones going down to this one drop. Acon not going to take this line down, even though he lost so many workers earlier. Once again, he drops in towards this fourth base, targeting down even more drones. It looks like the Banelings will finally clean this up, and the mutas have been revealed. Ling Bane Muta is going to be the tech of choice for Alopex. Interesting, very old school, definitely, but it can work well against these tanks. Meanwhile, Acon knows that because these were spotted by the drop, Thors are in production. We already got some missile turrets here in the mineral lines as well. Not too many mutas. They don't have any upgrades either. Can they get any damage done? Is Acon in position? He's got a couple of Marines in between his bases, but his main is looking a little bit bare. How fast are those repairs? The mutas, they dip on in. We do have a surround on the turret. Thor's a couple seconds away from coming out. Yo, we need more than just a turret. Uh oh, the turret is going to go down. Oh, it's so close. The turret survives. Marines barely forcing those mutas back. 6 SCVs go down once again, just crippling the economy of Acon. Another massive wave of Banelings on the way. +3 on the horizon. I don't believe we have a hive. Yeah, only a lair here for Alopex. So it's been taking a while to really tech up. He's committed to lair tech Ling Bane Muta, which isn't bad, but it does have a certain amount of longevity here. It's not going to be able to last him the entire game, but a massive Ling Bane run by Acon completely out of position. Is he going to commit to the base trade? The fourth base is going to go down. Mutas are wreaking havoc in the main base. Thors are going to eventually clean this up. No, the Thor is going to go down. At the same time, though, Acon is just sending it, simming and winning. The Marines are going across the map, and there's nothing at home to defend for Alopex. The base trade is real. Here we go. He's just steaming on forward even further. Alopex is turning around. He has broken the third. The natural has and the main have been saved, though. Acon is stabilizing back at home. Meanwhile, the Baneling nest goes down. 4 Banelings. Oh god, okay, thankfully we still have a couple more Banelings. I was like, is that it? Can he not make any more Banelings? He's got a decent army supply here. Alopex has to be very careful with how he engages. We do have the base going down, a lot of those Broodlings going down as well. Alopex is going for the mass around. And is it gonna work? The Banelings roll on forward. The splits are not there. The splits, Papi. We have splits towards the end, but it's a little bit too late. Acon is going to lose everything after killing the third, killing the fifth, killing the natural. Did not get into the main base. And now, this has been a scrappy game. Alopex thankfully did expand towards the north. He was getting ready to lose his main, by the way. He throws down his backup alien nest, his spawning pool as well. He's got a base towards the northern portion of the map as well. His drone count is still quite healthy. Acon struggling here on these three bases. If only he had split at the natural, that could have been the difference. That could have made the game for him. Now he's forced to defend here on his three bases. Very close game between these two players. This is why I wanted to dive on it. I was curious as to how close in skill they would be, and honestly, I'm loving what we're getting between them. Alopex just getting more of his bases up. Still on lair tech. +3 attack did finish up, by the way, for Acon. He did forget +3 defense, or maybe it was a choice because he had very limited minerals, sorry. But here we go. He's pushing out once again. They're going to be running into a massive wave of Ling Bane. Alopex up 20 army supply. And pushing this deep into creep is just not going to work out. I don't blame Acon. I'm sure he feels really pressured to deal damage right now, but I feel like drops might be a wiser thing to do, as Alopex is going for the kill. He's going for the surround. Oh, and the tank is going to fall. There's just not enough Marines on the ground. Alopex is going to clean everything up. And that was it. You know, the base trade was definitely a way to win it here for Alopex. GG gets called, and he takes the first game. Oh my god. GG. I'm just catching up in the chat. Yes, there are quite a number of other people here. Johnny. Aye. GG, well played. Oh, I should also fix this camera as well. Bam, there we go. I'm here with my plushes, but what a game between our two players. Honestly, it was pretty close. There were moments where Acon was ahead and doing so much with his army. There were moments where Alopex, I think the biggest thing that stood out for Alopex is his ability to save his workers despite losing bases. Even if you remember, I think when he was expanding on the right-hand side trying to take a fifth, he just dragged his drones to the bottom right-hand corner of the map. Like, he did so well preserving his workers and making sure that he was very efficient with how he was spending his larva. And honestly, that may have just won him the game, the ability just to do that, because he was able to just keep replenishing his bases, keep replenishing his economy. Oh, and Alopex just wasn't able to get the damage that he needed to with his pushes. Or Acon wasn't able to. I think I mixed up those names for a moment there. But yes, GG, well played. Oh. And with that, we are getting ready to dive into game number 2. Oh, I just realized I'm frozen. My apologies. There we go. With that, we're going to be getting into game number 2. Exclamation mark B in the chat if you want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. We got a lot of great players here. I was talking about it in the Twitch chat earlier, though. I am a little bit sad. There is one player that we are missing. One big name. One big name, one small name. Two small names. We're missing a couple of people. J-Dolph is not here. Feels bad, man. The Dolph himself is not in qualifier number 2. I believe he is busy today on Sunday, or maybe sleeping after a long night out. Likewise, Faz isn't here either. I know so many people, myself included, want to see Faz in these tournaments. He is an Australian kind of a ladder hero, but he's also a part of the online community. He's a part of the Discord server. You know, he does interact, practice a lot with the more established pros in the scene. I think we would all love to see Faz in these qualifiers one day, but I believe he is working on a Sunday. Feels bad, man. The other big name is Peppy. Peppy is one of, if not the best Zerg player in Australia. Peppy alongside Oreo, they're both amazing at what they do. And Peppy was here yesterday, in yesterday's qualifier, but he couldn't make it here today. Feels bad, man. Oh. So what I'm saying is we need another Zerg player to step it up, and we'll see if he can stop that Zerg from stepping it up, because spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of a Tropical Sacrifice, we have the Australian Terran player representing his old team 1F Pro. It is aconcises. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Tropical Sacrifice, we have the Australian Zerg player, the returning retired pro from many years ago. We have Alopex. Oh boy, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the last time he competed was 2015, 7 years ago and counting. So he has made his return, and he's not looking too bad. You know, there were a couple of moments that were definitely shaky in the last game, and I do think that these two players are very comparable to each other, so it's going to make for a great series. But yeah, he really did impress us last game there with his abilities to go for those run buys, with his ability to preserve and keep his workers alive as well, despite losing all these bases, remain calm, cool, and collected. Another thing that kind of went a little bit unnoticed was his creep spread. His creep was quite good, getting towards the halfway point of the map. It did mean that those engagements were a little bit easier for him. He had plenty of time to respond as well. A lot of that was because Acon was less concerned with clearing creep and more concerned with his big major pushes, and his pushes were terrifying. That they were killing bases left and right. But it did mean that as the game went on and as those pushes didn't deal enough damage, things got easier and easier for Alopex. As Acon does go across the map with a bit of an SCV scout, just confirming the hatch first opener from Alopex. He's going to be headed towards his third base as well, kind of what we expect to see here. Hatch gas pool into our third. Acon's going to come in with his Reaper, but the third will be thrown down on time. You love to see it. Meanwhile, the Reaper's going to dip on in as well. Shouldn't really be dealing too much damage. Maybe a Ling here or there. Getting a drone would be insane if he were able to do so. And we're just buying enough time here for the first Queen to come out. Just get one Ling. You know, not bad damage here for the Reaper. More than is what typically is expected. Oh, can he get the tumor? Up! Oh, it looks like he cannot. He was trying to target fire, but he did end up getting 1 or 2 shots off on the Queen instead. So the tumor will get up and running. Meanwhile, we do have a very different opener here. Oh my god. If you remember, last game he went for a 1-1-1 into BC opener, and honestly it did a lot of damage. But here we have a 3cc opener instead, but not a 3cc Banshee. We got a 3cc 2-1-1. Oh my god. Not something you see too often. But it does pop up from time to time. Of course, oh, that's another tumor. It's going to go down to the Reaper. The Reaper barely survives as well. Acon with the Reaper control. Let's go. Actually finding even more damage here. Again, more than is usually expected. Oh, as both players are switching things up. So one thing is that this 2-on-1 obviously is going to be delayed. Specifically, the medevacs are going to be much later than usual because of this 3rd CC, so a much more economic and less aggressive variant of a 2-on-1. Meanwhile, Alopex goes for a hidden Roach Warren behind the natural mineral line. So Alopex doesn't intend for the game to go too much longer. I think he probably was sweating a little bit after game number 1 on Data C, and he's like, nah, mate, not again. On a larger map like Tropical Sacrifice, where my Ling counterattacks are going to take that much longer to go across the map, let's just go for a big Roach push instead. And I do not blame him, and I do worry a little bit here for Acon. Because Acon didn't go for a 1-1-1 opener, he's not going to have access to a Banshee, and Banshees completely shut down Roach pushes. As of course Roaches, they do not shoot up. Because of the 2-1-1 instead, we will have an influx of Marines, which won't be bad, but we don't have any tanks to support. We won't have any Widow Mines either. Oh, it looks like he himself is going for a bit of a Hellbat push. Can he hold on though? This is going to be a very devastating timing here. Alopex is going across the map with 8 Roaches with 2 Ravagers on the way. We have 11 Marines. They will have Stim. but this is the first sight that Acon is getting of this push. He finally does spot those roaches. The wall is not going to be... I don't know if it even matters if it's a wall, and I just don't think that Acon has enough. Behind this, Alopex is going to Link Flood. How good is target firing going to be? Oh my god, the bile! The bile connects with the Marines! No, not like this. He does target down both of those Ravagers. The poise are being pulled. Is it going to be worth it here for Acon? The Marines are trying their hardest here, but workers are falling left and right. Acon a little bit too greedy with his 3cc opener, not scouting this at all, and unfortunate. I almost want to say a build order loss here for Acon. There is just no way to deal with this army. The natural base is completely forfeit. The third is up and running, sure, but there's no way to get it mining. Once again, Akon's trying to target down those Ravagers. He will get one of them. But honestly, if Alopex really wanted to, he could try and push up this ramp, bow down the wall, and just break on in. The natural base forced to be lifted up. Meanwhile, back at home, Alopex, he is free to just drone from here. He's a little bit supply blocked. Unfortunately, we have 5 overlords on the way. But this is what I was talking about earlier. The Lings, they push up this ramp. The Roach Ravager as well. We get a surround on this army. The Medivacs are doing the best they can to keep these Marines alive, but the DPS is just too damn high. The main base has been compromised, and yeah, a very strong Roach Rav push here. I almost want to say all in from Alopex. GG gets called, and Alopex will take the series 2-0. Game number 1 was very close, very back and forth. Again, I think maybe even too close for Alopex's comfort. He's like, nah, not again. He's like, let's not go through that again. Let's not allow the Terran player to do what they want, especially because I'm up 1-0 in this series. So why not just send it, papi, send it across the map, and GG gets called. Oh boy. Meanwhile, let me just quickly report the scores. Beautiful. You'll love to see it. And with that, of course, Alopex is going to be moving on in the brackets, and we can all have a look at the bracket together.